The views and opinions expressed on the following program are solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited or its advertisers.
Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of On Point for today, Friday, the 19th day of June 2026. My name is Alexis Jeffers and of course I'm here every Friday afternoon from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. and I've been doing this for a number of years and we continue to press on with this show because we feel it is important to come here and spend this hour and to impart whatever information we have to impart or divulge. And of course it is not a call-in show, so it's my voice you'll hear for at least an hour, but that's okay. Some persons have expressed the desire to have me going for 2 hours, but 1 hour is just about enough. Anyway, let's go through the format as usual. Good afternoon to the folks up there in St. James. And of course, as I always say, St. James stretches from the bottom of Zion Hill all the way down into Jones Estate and up to Fountain, Mount Lily, and all areas in between. I want to say good afternoon, of course, to Violet Baby Perkins over there in Barnaby. And indeed, she's one of our regular listeners, along with many others over there. I want to say good afternoon in particular to the folks down the range, as we say. You know, those guys over there, Roy and his crew, Amoy and Turkey and Grugu and Tobo. He's going to say I didn't mention him, and Monkey and them guys who always seem to be available to assist in every possible way when you ask them to do so. And of course all the way down the range there by Pats and Courtney and everyone else. And I know there have been some challenges along the way down that road, and I want to say to each and every one, well, God is in the midst and he will see you through all of these difficulties and challenges, yeah? And of course we move out of St. James and going to St. Thomas Parish, St. Paul's, St. John's and St. George Parish. And of course I want to say good afternoon to all who are listening down there in St. Kitts as well, whole of St. Kitts, because we do get the confirmation and affirmation that there is a large following down there on St. Kitts. And I want to say welcome to one and all there, because without you, well, this station will not be what it has become, and that is the Caribbean's only powerhouse. I go further afield and say good afternoon to the folks in Statia, Sabre, St. Bart's, French and Dutch St. Martin. Good afternoon to all who are listening down there. We do have a large contingent of citizens and residents right there in St. Martin, both on the French and Dutch side. And it is always the premise that persons who would have migrated from Nevis, for example, those from the St. James area would have chosen St. Martin, primarily because there are a lot of family members who would have gone there prior, and then persons would have followed. And the same thing or similar thing when it comes to the U.S. and British Virgin Islands. More so though, persons from the St. John's area, Charlestown, St. John's area, would have gone to the U.S. and British Virgin Islands because that's where they had family members already planted there. So I say good afternoon to you there. And also in Puerto Rico we do have some citizens and residents who are there. Some may have gone there for a visit to shop because there's some connection there now in terms of flights. Come back east and south, and we want to say good afternoon to the folks in Antigua and Barbuda, Montserrat, Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, east of us all there in Barbados, and then of course we go further south, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, and of course Guyana. We do have quite a number of nationals from those countries who are here with us, and we welcome them, and we certainly appreciate the effort that they have exerted since they've come here to help us build this lovely island of ours. And indeed, if you're listening and you would want to come to Nevis at any point in time, please come and visit us, visit your family, see what Nevis is like, and I can assure you that you'll be welcome here, because we are welcoming people here on the island of Nevis. We welcome one and all, but all we say is that when you come, bring your best behavior with you and abide by the laws of the land, and of course you doing so will be a good thing, because of course we'll continue to build a harmonious society and community here on the island of Nevis. Okay, and then up into the United States we go, from way down south. We say South Florida, but most of we start in the Keys and all the way up. And we have persons living in the Keys as well there from the Federation and from Nevis. And all the way up to those states in the northeast, way up in the northeastern flank of the United States. But in between, of course, we do have a large population of our citizens there in New York. And I say good afternoon to the folks in New York. And of course, coming out of New York and heading west, we say good afternoon to folks in Tennessee, in Texas, in Kansas, and so forth. And then you go over to the west of the United States, California, Oregon, and of course the state of Washington State, that is. And then we want to say good afternoon and good morning to all the folks there in Canada, all of the major cities where you're planted. I say good morning, good afternoon, or good day to you. And then we go up into the United Kingdom, that's in Europe, of course, and say good afternoon to the folks there, and all who are listening or who would have taken some time out of their busy schedule to listen to this show, but more so to Von Radio at this time of the day. And then, of course, France, Germany, and all of the other European countries where we have our citizens. And then we go into Asia, Japan, and also the Republic of China, Taiwan, where I know for a fact we do have quite a number of nationals there who are, going to school, who are working, and perhaps visiting as well. It's quite some distance to go, but once you would have made that trek, it is a beautiful country, and a country that we have had a tremendous relationship, a good relationship with over the years, and continue to do so. So good afternoon, good morning, good day to all who are listening. And back home now, I want to just go further into the show and say condolences to any family that is out there grieving at this time. And I don't have any specific person on my list, but of course, you know who you are. I would want to just offer a word of assurance that these are tough times and difficult circumstances to be confronting at this time, yes. But I've always said that there is some comfort in knowing that God is in the midst of everything, yeah? And if you put your trust and faith in God, I believe He will see you through. And that's where your trust and faith should be, not in man, but in God. And He would see you through these difficult times. If you are encountering any difficulties health-wise, I pray that you'll get well soon. If you're at the Alexandria Hospital, I would hope that your stay there is a short one, and one that will see you recover, recuperate, and gain some strength. And with the help of the nurses and doctors that are there, who always exert their best effort, I do believe that there would be some positive outcome to your stay there. And then you'll be up and about again to make your contributions towards the development of the island of Nevis. But take your time, be slow, and be patient with your body, because that's what you'll need once you would have encountered any illness, yeah? And as such, anyone else who I'm not calling any particular name at this point, but you know your circumstances, but know that my thoughts and prayers are with you. Okay, let's go on to some happier times now. Someone is celebrating today, I'm sure. Celebrating a birthday, celebrating some major milestone, a graduation, or celebrating an anniversary or something of that sort. Whatever you're celebrating today, I say congratulations to you and best wishes to you in your celebration. And of course, one person comes to mind, and that is Ethelyn Wilkes down there at Newcut, we call it, down there at Penny's. She is celebrating her birthday today, and I want to wish you a happy birthday, Ethelyn. And we normally call her Etty. Yeah, she's celebrating today, and I want you to have a wonderful time. And anyone else who is celebrating, my best wishes to you, and I wish you many more years of celebration, and on top of that, good health and strength over the years to come, so that you can celebrate even in a more grand style, or if there's such a word as grander style. Yeah, make it bigger and bigger every year, because every year should be celebrated in such a way as if it's the last one, but we wish you many more. Of course, tomorrow is the birthday of Janet Warner up there in the Baltimore area in the United States. Janet, good afternoon to you, and happy birthday when it comes tomorrow. Celebrating style as well, Janet. I don't know how good you are at celebrating. Maybe you're much more, calm about it. But I'm saying, hey, it's a birthday. And birthday these days are precious days to celebrate, yeah? So you celebrate. Dewani Hicks is celebrating tomorrow as well over there in Newcastle. Good afternoon to you, and happy birthday when it comes again, Dewani. And of course, everyone would make sure that you have a grand time, I'm sure. And indeed, do have fun in spite of the circumstances, right? Okay, good. In terms of public service announcements, quickly. This is Child's Month. There was a march this morning, the annual march to commemorate, or it's not necessarily to commemorate the start, but it's one of the major activities, along with other activities that are held throughout the month. The month started on the 1st of June. They had their church service. I believe it was over there at the Seventh-day Adventist Church at Manning's, I believe it was. And indeed, they have had other activities, but this one this morning, the march this morning, is one of the major highlights of the month, along with other events to come like poetry, drama, and all kinds of things they'll have to incorporate the skills and the talents of our young children. And of course, you can listen up for those announcements accordingly, but I just wanted to recognize the parents, teachers, schools, and everyone who are involved, the Ministry and Department of Education that is involved in ensuring that this month is a success. So I want us to lend our support to the children accordingly, just as we do with all other activities like sports and the mini Olympics and every other thing, elocution contests, those kind of things. So I want us to lend support accordingly. Okay. Additionally, this coming Sunday the 21st, is Father's Day. I'll probably say more about Father's Day a bit later. But of course, the Concerned Citizens Movement will be having a Father's Day affair, a fun day down there at the Villa. We are not going to be at the Malcolm Gishard Park as we would have done last year. This year, the Malcolm Gishard Park is rented, engaged, which is a good thing, because once it's engaged, it therefore means that people are using it for absolutely good purposes and paying for doing so. We normally would pay, but if somebody is paying top dollar, well, why deny them? So I believe that place is engaged on Sunday, so we have chosen to go to the Villa here in Charleston, just there opposite Reliable Motors. So we are having a Father's Day fun day, a Father's Day affair, whatever you want to call it. There are quite a number of activities planned for that day, such as dominoes, bingo, raffle, various entertainment. Mini massages will be administered there as well too. I don't know what mini massages are, but maybe I should go and get something done as well. Food items will be there, goat water, chicken, food and the likes. And then of course fun games and much more. The entertainment will be provided by DJ Zimba and DJ Wenty. Oh, not Wenty. No, it's Dendy. Dendy, let's be clear. DJ Dendy. And of course, it starts at 2 p.m. and go to 7 p.m. on Sunday evening. So this is the 21st of June, Father's Day. We'll see you there. All of our fathers who are not going elsewhere that afternoon, because some may be going to various parts of the Federation to have lunch and dinner and all kinds of things. I'm sure fathers will be pampered on that day. Let us treat our fathers just like we treat our mothers, yeah? And give fathers a wonderful day on Sunday. But this time around, those who are available to come and who can make it, come on down to the villa on Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. You'll have plenty of activities, and food and drinks and so forth will be there, yeah? Okay, so I'm hoping to see everyone who can make it there. That is for Sunday afternoon. Okay, very good. Now, of course, quickly, if I can just put this in as an item, the Bansgut community will be having their Breadfruit Festival tomorrow. I think this is the 12th annual. The reason why I'm bringing that up is because last year I was there, and previous years, yeah. And of course, last year they had this breadfruit peeling competition, and I decided to partake in that. You know, I was not successful. The chap there, Lowland, what's his name, Clark, was the one who won that. But of course, you understand, Lowland is a chef by profession. Boy, he had a unique way of peeling that breadfruit, and he was way ahead of all of us. I believe I came in second, but the good thing is that I was able to take the same breadfruit that I peeled. I was able to take it home and cook it. So, if for nothing else, I didn't win any prizes, but my prize was to take home by breadfruit. So, they have quite a number of dishes that you can sample and purchase up there tomorrow. The event starts at 12 p.m. Yeah, so they'll have breadfruit chowder, breadfruit cake, breadfruit bread, breadfruit chips, breadfruit cheesy, breadfruit fritters, and all kinds of things that are made out of breadfruit. If you are from the Rastafarian community, of course, they'll have ital made out of breadfruit as well too. So there'll be something for everybody. So I'm inviting one and all to come up and enjoy. Make that your Saturday afternoon, afternoon out to enjoy. So you're outside tomorrow. If you're outside tomorrow, well, come on up to Bansgut and partake in this particular event. It should be lots of fun up there, yeah? And like I said, I am mentioning it at this point because at least I'll be there and I'll be taking part in the breadfruit peeling competition, yeah? And as I said before, if it is not to win, it's to get some breadfruit to take home. Okay, let's leave it as that. Okay, Herbert Beach Affair, we're making our plans, and the plans are coming along nicely. I've engaged some major entertainers for that afternoon thus far, and that's a good thing. At least we know we have major acts that we will have over there as usual. You know, the interesting thing about Herbert Beach, when I call these entertainers, is as if they were waiting for the call, you know. When you call, yeah man, I've already written down the fact that I'm coming to Herbert Beach, so that's what they'll tell me. And that's a good thing. It suggests to me that Herbert Beach is not only on my mind, Herbert Beach is on many persons' mind, including the entertainers, who know that there is a stage there for them, and the stage is always welcoming to them, so they know that is the place to be on August Monday. I think that's the 3rd of August, yeah? That's where the entertainment will be, and that's where the bands will be from 12 noon down until 12 midnight on that day. So I'll say more about that as we go along, but of course the usual bars and entertainment will be there, and we'll have, this time around, without a doubt, we'll have entertainment for the children. The call has been made, and the arrangements have been made so that there'll be entertainment for the children as well. Over the years, we say we are doing A, B, C, and it doesn't come off the way that we would want it to. But this time we have those things that we're working on to ensure that we have good entertainment for you over there. And if I must just push on just a little bit more on the Herbert Beach affair. It has been going on for quite some time. This is about almost 30 years. And we keep going, yes. And of course, there have been challenges over the years. But in spite of and despite of the challenges, we continue to press on. And I've been spearheading this thing from since, 2003, thereabout. And just part of me now to ensure that this is held. And why we have this event, even though there have been challenges and even though there have been, persons who have their opposition to it, that's fine. Nothing in this world is perfect, and if there is no opposition to certain things, certain issues, or certain persons, then of course that cannot be a real situation. The reality is there will be opposition to things, and we just want to put the oppositions aside for now and just focus on the positive in terms of what this means to the people of St. James and the people who come there to ply their trade on that day. It is a huge event where we bring people from Charlestown and say, come on up to Herbert Beach, which is in the north, and be a part of this activity with us. That's like spreading out the fun and frolic on the island of Nevis during Culturama. Years past, everything was concentrated in Charlestown, and so this is one of those events that is held outside of Charlestown, but it also gives the persons up in St. James who normally would not get a booth in Charlestown or normally would not come to Charlestown to make a dollar at any time during Culturama. It gives them a chance to make a dollar up there during Culturama on that particular day. It also gives our visitors an option in terms of coming off of the hot asphalt road in Charlestown and coming up to the nice cool environment that exists up there at Herbert Beach. You don't have to stand in the sun all day. The beach is right there, and then you can take a dip, then you can come back and eat and drink something, then you go home, take a shower, and then come back in the evening, late in the evening, to get some of the band music. So it is an event that it is a wholesome event, a clean event, an event that has certainly played its part in making Culturama what it is over the years. And so we always say, without Herbert Beach, Culturama can never be the same. So Herbert Beach has its own little flavor and its own little, how should I put it, space in Culturama, which is which cannot be duplicated, and it is something that has to continue. Once there's life in my body, I'll make sure that we continue with that event. Okay, so that's it for the public service announcements, and so we move on. Yesterday was Von Radio's 38th anniversary. A major milestone. It's not one of those significant milestone in terms of 30 or 40 or 50 where you have certain things attached to it, whether it's a silver jubilee or golden jubilee, that kind of thing. But every year is a significant milestone in my opinion. Here's why I said that. Von Radio started back in 1988, sorry. I forgot the exact date. No, well, I just said the 18th. Yeah, what do you say? The 18th of June. Why I say I don't recall the exact date. What I was about to say is that I remember distinctly it was a Saturday afternoon. That is what I was about to say. And I was in the backyard there in Brick Hill. That's up in Goatole area. And of course I was there with my grandparents when Von Radio went live. You know, all of the promos were there prior to that Saturday afternoon, and the whole of Nevis, I can recall, was tuned in. As far as I'm concerned, everyone was tuned in, and I was there sitting around the radio as well, and Von Radio went live. And since then, Von Radio has been live and lively, and it has really carved its own space in the broadcast landscape here in Nevis, St. Kitts, and throughout the Caribbean, and further afield throughout the world. And it was a significant day for me, for sure, and for the island of Nevis, because a new station was born, and a station, in my opinion, that has helped to transform the island of Nevis and the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis as well. It has transformed talk radio. It has certainly been the station for hurricane coverage. It has been this station for sporting coverage as well. Okay, coverage of Parliament, and of course hosting of various prime ministers, premier ministers of government, political leaders, persons who aspire to be in politics, and so forth. But more so, it has been a community radio whereby church leaders have come, churches have come, and various community groups have come, and this have been the platform for so many different things, including Christmas program in the playground and cultural rama, and you can go on and on. I just spoke of Herbert Beach. We have brought live broadcasting here from Herbert Beach on Von Radio. Music festival is promoted here. Carnival is promoted here. Everything that you can think about. I remember the days of Carna Report that used to come on at 5:15 in the afternoon. We still get some BBC report, of course, and indeed in news item, local, regional, international, all that is covered here on Von Radio. So it's broadcasting from morning to night, and now they're on the FM band, so at least you can get 24-hour programming from here at Von Radio. And so it has really been a station that has stood the test of time. And when I say stood the test of time, I'm going to be specific, because you hear me say hurricane coverage before. Von Radio have survived hurricanes in terms of being on air, live on air during hurricanes. Some have been knocked off by hurricane and have never come back, but Von Radio has remained. And I am thinking about some of the radio stations that might have been around during some of the past hurricane seasons, and indeed I'm not hearing them these days, but I know Von Radio was there and still here. And so we have to commend the management, Weber Herbert, and of course Weber has been around since the start until now. You normally hear persons say they're in teaching for the teaching profession, that is, for 40 years, and you ask, well, how does someone survive 40 years in teaching? And the person who you ask such question would tell you, I love what I'm doing, and that is why I've stayed in teaching, and other professions as well. So I am certain that if you ask Weber Herbert, how do you survive for 38 years? He would tell you, plain and simple, I love what I'm doing, and I'm happy to do this for the people of Nevis and for the people of the Federation, or let's say the Von Radio family, because it's spread far and wide. So when it comes to Von Radio, there's something special about this radio station. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give my personal experiences. For example, I remember in 1989 when we were visited by Hurricane Hugo. Many of us never saw a hurricane of that magnitude before. We would have heard of David and Frederick and so forth, that would have destroyed Dominica, Guadeloupe and those countries further south of us. But we didn't know what to expect with Hurricane Hugo. As a matter of fact, I recall being in Charlestown this Saturday, because the hurricane hit us on the Sunday morning. But the Saturday, persons were in town moving around. Place was calm and nice, and sun was hot. And people were asking, where hurricane come? The hurricane coming anywhere. And then, of course, we went home, and up there on the play field in Whitehall, we were up there playing cricket that Saturday afternoon. Nice and tranquil weather. And then, come Sunday morning, it's like we saw the wind. People were saying they saw the wind because, it was raining at that time, and then you had these sheets of wind coming through. And, of course, many of us would have experienced some damages to our properties, our house roof and so forth. It was devastating. It was a small storm, but it was very compact, and it did punch us in such a way that we got some damage. Okay, and then of course the aftermath was something to deal with. One of the things that came out of that hurricane, or one of the experiences, or one of the things that was organized by Von Radio, was a poetry contest there, where persons were asked to write a poem about their experience with Von Radio. Not with Von Radio, with Hurricane Hugo, and then have it being sent to Von Radio. Von Radio had a competition. Well, voila, I entered, I did my own. I'm not going to repeat the poem here. I was told do not repeat it because if I was to repeat what I said in that, or what I wrote in that poem, it might be used against me. So I'm going to leave it. I was admonished this morning, Alexis, leave that. But anyway, it was about Hugo. And of course, persons like Minister Evelyn, Eric Evelyn would have entered as well, and quite a number of persons who tried their luck, so to speak, at poetry then. And of course, the competition and the recordings were played up there at Jonathan's Villa one evening. It was a Saturday evening, I think it was. I don't remember the date. But anyway, that was in 1989. So at the end of it all, Minister Eric Evelyn was adjudged the winner. Yeah? Now, I had a good poem. I can say that. I know for a fact I had a good poem that should have won the competition. The problem I had was that those days, it was done via cassettes, the recording. And so my brother and I would have recorded my poem, and somewhere along the line there was a break in the recording. And because we were, like, say, using a recorder that didn't belong to neither him nor I, it was one of these boombox. People were investing in these boombox, this big radio that you walk around the village on your shoulder and listen to your reggae and your calypso. So we were stealing a little time to record it because it had belonged to my brother's uncle. So I submitted my cassette still, and then of course when it was all said and done, when they got to that break in my cassette and my recording, they stopped. And I was trying to suggest to them, continue. A whole verse was left behind that wasn't heard. So I told Eric yesterday, Minister Evelyn, that is, man, that's the only reason why you won, because my poem was never heard, throughout for its entirety. Yeah. That being said, it was indeed my pleasure to enter into that particular competition, along with many others. And so my gratification was the fact that Von Radio asked, and we participated, and I've been participating in almost everything that Von Radio have thrown out there thus far. As a matter of fact, I first was introduced to talk radio here, meaning live, on the Mark back in August of 2006. And here I am today, have a show of my own. But back then, On the Mark was one of those shows that gave me a platform. At least it gave me a chance to be heard and a chance to be seen. And why I say a chance to be seen, persons would hear your voice on radio, because it's not like what it is now where you have live streaming as it is done now. But back then, you on the microphone and that's it, and persons are listening on the radio. So people would want to put a voice to a face, and then when they see you and they say, oh, okay, it's you, that kind of thing. I don't know, some people seem to think when they hear a voice they can start to picture what someone looked like, and that kind of thing. So when they meet you on the street, oh, it's you, okay. And that's how I was pretty much known then, and that's how I got to be known, I should say. And it was something that I can always look back to and thank Von Radio for that, from a personal standpoint. And many other persons out there can say likewise. Even the engineer behind the system, they can say that. Her voice is something that many persons throughout the Caribbean love, and I'm sure she too have had the experiences whereby she would go somewhere and people would say, I love to hear your voice, and you look just as lovely. Yeah. that's how it is. So radio has its role to play, and there was I'm going on a tangent and going off course here to some extent, but there was a song some time ago, Video Killed the Radio Star. We should go on YouTube and listen to that, because there was a point in time when songs that were produced by these American artists was accompanied with a video. So people were tuning into these videos and listening songs and watching videos. And then they felt like that would kill radio. But radio is still alive and well. And some of these videos, sometimes you don't even know they exist. Because radio, you can drive all around Nevis. You can drive all around the Federation and listen to your radio in your car or in your vehicle. But you can't watch a video as you drive. So radio is still a powerful unit, yeah? And so I want to at least thank Von Radio for 38 years of success and progress and hard work. And Von Radio, just like any other institution, would have had its good days, It's bad days and it's indifferent days, but you know, through it all, Von Radio is still here. They're still here providing entertainment, providing information, providing employment, and providing avenue through which our people here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis and throughout the world can voice their opinion and also get the information out to who they want to convey such information to. So I want to wish Von Radio another 38 years and add on 38 years more on that. But I wish Von Radio well for the next, for the foreseeable future and beyond, because we need such institution in our community. And I want to thank everyone here for continuing to press on and provide quality programming for the people of Nevis, and by extension the people of St. Kitts and further afield as well. So thank you, Von, and I wish you many more years of celebration. Okay, let's move on. I just thought I'll you know, at least, you know, comment on that, because, you know, these are the things that we need to embrace in this island and this country. Positive attributes of our people and of the things that can make a difference to us. Okay, the weather. I didn't touch on the weather before coming into the station. Of course, I couldn't see Saddle Hill. I couldn't see Nevis Peak. It was covered white with clouds, yeah, and rain was falling when I was coming into the station. And for those of you who are not in Charlestown or not in Nevis, then of course you would somewhat visualize what I'm talking about when I say there was a blanket of white cover over Nevis Peak and also Saddle Hill, and the rain was falling, and that was a beautiful sight to behold. We've been experiencing some drought conditions over the past couple of months, with some intermittent showers here and there, but indeed over the last couple of hours we've had some rain, and that is welcome by our farmers, welcome by our homeowners, welcome by everyone. And I said to myself coming in, perhaps we need about a week of rain, with at least 3 days of consistent rain within that week. What I mean by that, 3 days constantly will certainly eliminate some of the drought conditions that we're experiencing. And when I say drought condition, the earth is dry, the trees are brown, the grass is brown, and so 3 days of constant rain, I'm sure, will turn those circumstances around. So I hope I'm not praying and hoping for too much, but we do need some rain. And so what is coming down outside is a blessing. I'm not seeing right now, but when on my way in, of course, it was raining, so it is a blessing to receive. So we have heard that things have changed over the years, whereby we are receiving less and less rainfall. Yeah, I remember the days, perhaps in the mid-2000s, we were getting up to 65 inches of rain annually. And of course, we are now down to, I believe, maybe around 20-25 inches, if so much. Thus far for the year, I believe we have experienced, about 10 inches of rain. And we are at the middle of the year. And of course, the summer starts this coming Sunday, the 21st of June. And during the summer months, you know, it's seldom, unless we have a tropical storm, tropical wave, or hurricane, then of course the rainfall is a bit limited. But we are going to pray for rain, and like I said before, I will pray for a whole week of rain. It doesn't bother me. Certainly will be a blessing to have a whole week, but in between that week, at least 3 days of consistent rain will certainly change the circumstances. So we've had changes, and of course the weather is no different. But over the years and over the last couple of months, for example, we've had changes as well. Changes in so many things. Weather pattern have changed, as I've said, and of course cost of living, as it was last year and the years before. Well, cost of living has certainly risen over the last couple of months to a year. Price of fuel have increased. Those are changes. And of course, if price of fuel increases, then there'll be an increase in the cost of food items and so forth. And you know, just based on the world, the dynamics throughout the world, change have been created because of this global trade dynamic that we are seeing unfolding in front of us. If we have these wars that we are experiencing throughout the world. But before I go any further with that, remember we were not supposed to be having these wars as far as I'm concerned, and as far as it was promised to the people of the United States by the President of the United States. He would have said during his campaign that he would seek to end the Ukraine-Russian war on day one. He said there would be no new wars and there will be no new conflict, and whatever exists throughout the world, he would put an end to it. Quite the opposite has happened. Quite the opposite. And if we were to follow world circumstances, you have wars, some will benefit and some will be affected adversely as a result of it. Those who produce for wars, the equipment, the clothing, the food, and whatever else is produced during wartime, they would benefit. They would make the money. Those who depend on commodities that are produced internationally that we then have to export, we will be the ones who will feel the impact of war. And we are truly feeling the impact of war at this point in time, in that fuel prices are the highest that they've been in years. Food prices are the highest they've been in years. Procuring or even ordering items from abroad is the most difficult it has been in years. And so there have been a global economic shift, and that has added to perhaps affecting inflation in these parts of the world. We always hear that whatever happens in the major producing countries will affect us in these smaller, or let me say these small island developing states. So if goods are at a particular price in the United States, if it costs $10 there, by the time you were to buy it in the United States at $10 and then pay for shipment to Nevis, then of course you clear it at the port, and by the time you hit the shelf, it might be valued or cost as much as $25 for that matter. I'm just using random numbers, but you would never get the price that is in the United States or in Europe to be the same as on the shelf here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And so we are heavily reliant on imports, and some may say we need to produce more. But producing more means that you still have to procure raw material from overseas. For example, you still have to procure the seedlings, you still have to procure the machinery, you still have to procure the fertilizer, and everything else that goes into the production of food here on the island of Nevis. And I'm speaking Nevis for now, because we can speak a Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, but I'm speaking Nevis for now. Everything that goes into the production of any crop or any food item here on the island of Nevis, you have to literally or pretty much import almost every single ingredient or item that is needed to produce that particular good or those goods. And so we are tied to a global community, and for those who don't want to understand, well, of course, people can reject the facts as they are. But the facts are the facts, and they remain the facts. And so you look at what is happening now, because we've had some, talk in recent days regarding the increase in electricity bills from NEVLEC. And I personally sympathize with everyone out there in terms of these increases. But I will say to you that over the years, I've been exposed to the realities at NEVLEC over the years. And it's a wonder that NEVLEC is still standing as a company. And I'm going to be honest with you, because over the years NEVLEC has had to forego the collection of revenue so as to ensure that persons' circumstances are made better. Of course, they have to pay for fuel, they have to pay wages or salaries, they have to pay to procure transformers and wires and poles and the likes. They have to purchase everything. There's nothing that is free that goes to NEVLEC. They have to purchase everything. And so you look at all of the circumstances that that company has had to face over the years. And I have to say that it's a wonder that company remains viable and remains afloat. Many may have different arguments to make, and I say all of these arguments can be made, because I can make an argument to justify or to point out clearly that NEVLEC has been in trouble for many years. I can recall back in 2006 when NEVLEC, when government would have changed, then NEVLEC was a buoyant company, meaning didn't owe anything to the suppliers of fuel, didn't owe any local, well, if they owed any local supplier, those would have been within that current month. But I will say NEVLEC was being run in such a way so as to ensure at some point leading up to 2006 and beyond, they could have become a publicly traded company, just like Grenlec down in Grenada, publicly traded, where persons could have bought stocks in the company. Company would have raised some capital that way and reinvested in the company to help it grow. And so the books or the finances had to be kept in such a way so as to make the company attractive to anyone who wanted to invest. But lo and behold, beyond 2006, leading up to 2013, when government again changed, where the CCM would have taken over the reign of government or voted back into office, we met a situation there where, you know, so many expenses and indebtedness was there. One fuel supplier was owed almost $8 million, when in truth and in fact prior to that nothing was owed. At least the government, which did not owe anything to NEVLEC in 2006, by 2013 or thereabout, or just past 2013, the government would have owed NEVLEC just about $21 million, or just over $21 million. So the expenses were building up, the arrears were building up, the amount owing to the fuel company was building up, and so we had a situation where the company was in trouble from way back then until now. Yeah, and so one may say that NEVLEC should be taken on, or the government must take on these expenses, but the government have been paying expenses on behalf of NEVLEC over the years, and we must be cognizant of these things. And why I say we must be, as a people, we must understand that for a company that is providing such important service, or providing such important utility or utilities to the people of Nevis in terms of electricity, we have to ensure that this company remains viable, remains strong, and remain commonplace in our community. Because if they're not looked after, if the bills are not paid, if we don't pay what we should pay to NEVLEC, NEVLEC would soon be in trouble, whereby they can't buy fuel, they can't repair the generators, they can't pay the workers, they can't do what is necessary to stay afloat. And these are the things that we do not want to happen. Yes, the bills are high this month, I understand. And so what I'm going to ask persons to do is, whatever you can, make some arrangement with NEVLEC. Make some arrangement with NEVLEC to pay a portion, or if you can pay all, pay all. It will not be this way for a long time to come. How much longer, I can't say. But we have seen at least some changes throughout the world now in terms of fuel prices. They're coming down slowly. Bit by bit, they're coming down. And once that happens, it takes some weeks, some months, or whatever the case might be, for it to be felt by us here in these small island developing states. We don't produce oil in the well, there's some refining done in Trinidad, but in terms of mass production of oil, that has to come from the Middle East somewhere, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait. Some would have come out of Venezuela before. I'm not sure what is happening there, but of course we know we have to import oil or fuel into the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, but more so Nevis, since we're talking about Nevis. And so it will take some time for some of these impact to be lessened, or for that impact to be erased or removed, or lessened. That's the word I should use. So that being said, I'm just going to encourage our people to be to exercise wisdom at this point in time. There are some tips and ideas that have been conveyed by NEVLEC to our people as to what you should do at home. It may not be a major dent in your bill per se, but it will help. It will help NEVLEC, and it will certainly help you at some point or the other. Yeah, and so we must understand that world situations are what they are, and we have to just adjust our behaviors and our actions accordingly. I would like to see us at some point realizing the benefits of geothermal, but that is some way off. And there have been discussions about that. Hey, a lot of finger pointing and a lot of things have been said, but geothermal is not a resource that can be developed overnight. It's an expensive resource to develop, even though the benefits can be tremendous in the end. It is an expensive resource to develop. But I will say that the Nevis Island administration under the Concerned Citizens movement have made tremendous progress over the last, over the last couple of years, whereby we are at the point where we should be seeing drill rigs and the likes coming here into the island by at least August of this year. And of course, previously, there have been attempts made by previous administrations, of course, but indeed, money has always been the factor to limit the progress of this particular resource, or the progress that can be made with this particular resource. Did we get any help from anyone? Absolutely not. It could have been a resource that was developed out of all of these monies that we would have gotten through the sale of our passport. You see, when we start to blame, we have to look back and see where we would have gone wrong. Because, of course, after $6 billion, we are saying that geothermal is about 65 to 70 million US dollars. You can do the maths in EC dollars. But if you have collected, or we would have collected over $6 billion through the sale of passport, you tell yourself that the importance of this particular resource and the impact, or the positive impact, and what it could have been in terms of a game changer for the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Some emphasis and some attention could have been paid with that, with monies from the sale of our passport. Somewhere along the line, leadership on the other side of the aisle probably figure, well, it is Nevis, so hey, they're not about to, or they didn't want to. But I must commend this time around the Prime Minister, Prime Minister Drew, for seeing it differently and lending his support to this particular development so that we can move the needle and move the needle forward in terms of seeing some progress with geothermal. Prime Minister Drew must be commended, because all of the previous leaders who would have had a chance to make a difference did not do that. And the history is what it is. Some may not want to remember history as it is, but the bottom line is, in trying to shape one's legacy, people would want to put things how they want to put it to make themselves look a certain way. But the bottom line is, history do happen, and history is something that you cannot alter, because if you had nothing to do with it, you cannot alter that by saying you did. Yeah? So those who were there before and who did nothing, I say, you cannot alter that fact now. All I can say at this point in time, the Prime Minister who would have sought to move the process forward is the current Prime Minister, Dr. Terence Drew, and we want to thank him for that. And I believe with the efforts that we are seeing from the Caribbean Development Bank, the efforts from the Saudi Fund, and other entities that are seeking to move this important energy resource forward, I say thank you to all those who are trying to do so. And I believe we have what it takes to make it happen, because it can certainly transform the lives of the people of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, and it can certainly be a very good revenue earner for the island of Nevis, and by extension the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And so, without much confusion, much noise, I say let us pursue and press ahead with this particular resource so that the benefits can be derived. You know, as I mentioned that, something came to mind, because if, for example, all of the previous leaders at the federal level, the prime ministership that is, would have pursued, when money was there, to put some money in what is now established through legislation in recent months, the Sovereign Wealth Fund, sovereign wealth fund. If, for example, some of the money is from the sale of passport, which we know is about $6 billion and counting, if a percentage of that was placed into a sovereign wealth fund, you know what could have been the case now? Some of the challenges that we are facing now, out of that fund, monies could have been used, the revenue from that could have been used to ease the circumstances of our people at this point in time. That's why you set up a sovereign wealth fund. And so that was set up recently under this current Prime Minister as well too. And if it was done before, then of course we could have seen some benefits at this time. Many would have gone in different directions. The SIDF was established, and monies were leaving the SIDF going into all kind of areas that didn't materialize to anything beneficial to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And I mean that when I say it, because when you look at what has happened in the Federation, you can look at all of the projects that would have benefited from monies out of the SIDF. What are they doing to transform the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis? I don't see it. I honestly don't see it. It seems as though some were able to realize some monies out of it, yes, for their own personal growth. But in terms of a federation, what can we say? Okay, we can talk about the pier over there. We can talk about all kind of things. But in terms of transforming the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, and we look at it and say this or this project or this investment was the one that changed the lives of every single person here on the island of Nevis and on St. Kitts or in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, it's hard to point to anything. You talk about perhaps the pier over there, the second pier. That didn't come out of the SIDF, didn't come out of passport money either. It was a loan that was borrowed for $48 million US. Different entities would have invested in that. Social Security, TDC, Social Security, and National Bank and other entities would have invested in that. So that in and of itself is a good investment, yes, because it allows these Oasis class ships to dock at Port Zante, but it was not out of passport money. And you look around and you ask, well, where has this money gone? If, for example, we had invested in geothermal years ago, geothermal power, cheap energy would have been available to the Federation. And of course, all of these fluctuation in oil prices that we are seeing day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, will not be of any concern to us, because we would have had cheap, reliable, sustainable energy. And efforts have been made, don't get me wrong, and finger pointing can take place every day. I'm not into any finger pointing at this point in time. All I'm hoping and praying that we get to the point where the work can start in geothermal and we can realize the true benefits out of that resource, that by all accounts can transform the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And of course, Nevis would have to start thinking about its own sovereign wealth fund as well, if we are to realize the amount of monies out of geothermal as it is anticipated. We must be able to provide for our people, for when a rainy day comes, there is something to depend on, or something to rely on, or a fund to access, so that our people and their circumstances can be made better as a result. So that is where we're at with that. And of course, I want to, it's 2 minutes to 2, so I'm not going to get in trouble again by going over 2. So let me say in closing, Father's Day is Sunday. Let me say happy Father's Day to all of the fathers out there. Good fathers, bad fathers, whatever father, you're a father. Happy Father's Day to you. And if you're a bad father, try and make the circumstances better. Try and go and make amends wherever you can. If you're a good father, continue to be the best father you can be. And be a shining example to those who perhaps are not playing that major role. But I want us all, as fathers, as dads, whatever we are called, to be the best we can be to our children, so that they can grow up in a community where they can make meaningful contributions and also be shining examples for those to come thereafter. And so on Sunday, I'm inviting all of our dads, all of our fathers down to the villa. They're in opposite Reliable Motors. We have a fun day. All sorts of things are going on there on Sunday. We want you to come and have fun and enjoy the ambience that we'll create there for you, so that you can feel special on that day and be recognized for your effort as a father, as a dad, in transforming the lives of your children. Yeah. So that's my quota for today. It's just about 2 o'clock, and so let's say if you go to church on a Sunday, go and serve. Saturday, sorry, go and serve your God. If you go to church on a Sunday, do likewise. Say a prayer for this station. Say a prayer for me. Say a prayer for the leader of Nevis, the leader of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, so that they can make decisions that are important to our federation for its development and advancement. Have a wonderful afternoon and a peaceful weekend. Enjoy it. Happy Father's Day in advance. Goodbye. Have a great weekend.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited or its advertisers.